Welcome to the Countdown to Kindergarten celebration. I'm Lily Jones, the founder of CuriosityPack.com, where I create educational activity sets that inspire kids to love learning. I was a kindergarten teacher before having my daughter 4.5 years ago, and now I have Matilda, 4.5, and Milo, who is 1.5. And my daughter's starting kindergarten next year, which is really exciting. And I can't wait to share some of my knowledge as a kindergarten teacher and educator with you about how to get our kids ready for kindergarten. I also have launched a new Countdown to Kindergarten subscription program, which delivers monthly packages of activities all ready to roll, done for you, to your door and to your kid to get them excited about learning and get them ready for kindergarten. So be sure to check that out. And today I'm going to talk with you about the academic skills that your child needs to develop to get ready for kindergarten. And maybe needs is too strong of a word, because there's no such thing as being completely ready for kindergarten. And there's also no such thing as being turned away from kindergarten. So wherever your child is fine. These are just ideas to get started. So let's dive in. Let's dive into the academic skills and content that you can work on with your child in preparation for going to kindergarten. Now you might be wondering, what should my child know? And kindergarten readiness is about developing both content and skills. What I mean by that is there's certain content that's really important to focus on, like the alphabet or numbers or writing your name, but there are also important skills to foster in your child. And honestly, those skills I find to be the most important. Those are the skills that are going to last with your child throughout kindergarten and throughout their whole life. We want our kids to become lifelong learners, and curious kids who love learners will be the best prepared for school success. And this graphic here is a cycle of inquiry. As a teacher, I found it to be a really powerful tool for helping kids become self-directed learners. And the cycle usually starts with look, where kids are empowered to look at the world around them and then ask questions about what they see. Sometimes they'll be looking at certain materials, maybe a book, maybe artwork. Sometimes they'll be looking at a situation. Whatever it is, you can use the cycle of inquiry. And after they ask questions, kids are empowered to investigate their questions. And our role as parents or as teachers is to give kids the tools to investigate, to show them how to do that, because sometimes it can seem really mysterious. And then this last part after investigate is to reflect. And oftentimes I think we forget this part, and it's so important. When we reflect, we really synthesize what we learned, and we think about how we can use that knowledge in the world, any lingering questions, and kind of reflect on the process of learning as well as, again, the content that we learn. There are other key skills to develop, and some of those show up in the cycle of inquiry, and some of these are new. Curiosity we talked about before, and sometimes it can be hard to think about how to develop a skill in a child. It can seem really amorphous, but when you're thinking about curiosity, it's really through modeling. It's about showing kids that nobody knows all of the answers, that you have questions, that they have questions, that we want to have questions. It's how we learn. And then you can empower them to develop an observation skill, which means that you really show kids how to look at the world. Kids are doing this all the time. But when we really observe the world, we look at details, we see connections, we compare and contrast, and we can model out loud our observations so that kids can see how to do that. Then expression shows up in many ways. Expression's the ideas that we can take our thoughts and our ideas and our feelings and express them to people in different ways. We could do a dance, we could write a book, we could write a song, we could do art. There are all sorts of ways of expressing our thoughts and ideas, and kids should be exposed to a whole bunch of different ones. Reflection we talked about in the cycle of inquiry, and again is an important thing to both model and to do with your child. So reflection for a grown-up is maybe to think about something in your life that was going well, or that you learned, or that was hard, and reflect on that with your child. Think about how that happened. Tell the story of how it happened. Tell the story of your learning. Another skill to develop is persistence. And that is really hard for preschoolers. They often can't do the things they want to do, and it's really easy to give up. But when we teach kids that they need to persist and try again, and that's how we learn, is by making mistakes, then they develop this key skill that will last throughout their whole life. And going along with persistence is this idea of a growth mindset. And a growth mindset is the idea that our intelligence isn't fixed. It's something that we grow through trying new things, through taking risks. But we aren't born with a certain amount of intelligence. Nobody's born smarter than another person. It's something we grow and develop over time. And a way we can help kids develop a growth mindset is by praising both effort and praising character. So praising effort means that we're showing kids we see the hard work they're putting in. That instead of just saying, nice job for a drawing, we can say, wow, you really worked hard on those circles. Praising character means we're telling kids who they are and they listen to us. We are their internal voice to start, where how we talk to them becomes the voice inside of themselves. So when we praise character by saying, wow, you're such a caring girl, or wow, you're so adventurous, that shows them who they are, that names it for them, and it's really powerful. So now that we've talked about developing these learner skills with kids, I'm going to move on to literacy skills. And a key literacy skill to work on with pre-kindergartners is phonemic awareness. And this is the ability to hear, think about, and work with the sounds in words. It includes the ability to isolate sounds into beginning, middle, and end. So with this, that means if I said the word sit and asked a child what sound they heard at the beginning, the child would be able to say s. Or if I said the word dog and asked what sound they heard at the end, they would say g. Going along with this, phonemic awareness also includes the ability to separate sounds in words. So if I said the word cat, a child would be able to say k-at as the sounds that make up the word. The opposite of this is blending sounds in words. So if I said b-at, a child would be able to put those sounds together to make the word bat. And you can see how the separating and blending are the foundations for reading and writing. When we read, we separate sounds. We see the word B and we say B. We see the word A, we say A. We see the word T, we say T. And then we blend them all together to make B-at, bat. Both are extremely important. When we separate words, we do that when we write. We're saying the word bat out loud in our head and then separating it into the different sounds and representing those sounds with letters. So we can do all this kind of pre-work for reading and writing by working on phonemic awareness, by playing sound games with our child. I often, with my daughter, just say, hey, what sound do you hear at the beginning of the word sit? Or, hey, you want to write this word? I'll model how to separate the sounds in the word, even if I'm telling her the letters to write. Another part of phonemic awareness is rhyming. So this can be another fun one to do word games with. Just ask, hey, can you think of a word that rhymes with sit? And see how many words you can come up with your child. I often like to do these kind of games in the car or while we're walking. It gives us something fun to do while building these important skills. The last part of that phonemic awareness to think about is identifying syllables, which you can do by clapping out words, by thinking about the syllables in your name or the names of friends, and that can be another fun one to do whenever you have an extra minute or two. And all of these skills put together really form the foundation, like I said, for reading and writing. So though they may seem kind of silly playing all these word games, they're really important. I know when you think about getting ready for kindergarten, you probably think about learning the alphabet. And this poster here is from our letters pack. It's all the letters of the alphabet with a fun Curiosity Pack monster holding or wearing something that starts with the letter. When you're exploring the alphabet with your child, you want to think about teaching your child to recognize letters, being able to name the letters they see, and identify the sounds that letters make. They can also practice writing letters, which can be pretty tricky at this age, but using dots can help. So what I mean by that is you can do a tracing dot formation of the letter that your child can then trace. So that can be really helpful to just get the feeling of the letter and see the shapes they make with a little bit of extra help. You can also do something called hand-over-hand writing, where you actually physically put your hand over your child's hand and gently guide them towards writing the letters, either with or without dots. Probably dots are most helpful in that situation. So when you're thinking about recognizing the letters are everywhere. So you can think about where you see the letters, just point them out to your child. Encourage them to be curious about the letters. Same thing with the sounds. They're asking what a word says on a sign. Try and stretch it out with them. Talk about the letters, the sounds that the letters make. Really talking about the alphabet, talking about anything, is the most powerful thing you can do to connect with your child around learning. I would really focus on recognizing letters first, and then along with that, maybe at the same time, think about the sounds. And the writing can come whenever your child is ready for it. No matter what you do with the alphabet, I wouldn't force it. It's not worth it to make your child feel like it's a chore or something they have to learn. It really should be something that your child just finds interesting whenever they find it interesting. Something that you're talking about or pointing out just in everyday life. So there are other key literacy skills called concepts of print. And what this means is just the idea that kids know that print has meaning. Words are what we read. Words are separated by spaces. In English, we read left to right and we read top to bottom. Every book has a front and back cover and an author. And how do we show these concepts of print to kids? We read with them and we point out these things to them. Pointing to words while you read can show kids that print has meaning. You can point out that there are spaces between words, and that's how you know which word is which. You can show them we read left to right and top to bottom, again by pointing to the words as you read. And then the front and back cover and the author and often illustrator are really great to just talk about where you find that information on a book. And reading with your child is the most beneficial thing you can do in order to get them ready for kindergarten and set them up for lifelong success. When we raise kids who are readers, they love reading, they love getting information from books, and they know where to go to find answers. We've talked a lot about literacy skills, but now I wanted to get into math skills that you can work on with your child. These are equally important. They're things that you can work on in everyday life to show kids that math is all around you and math is really magical and fun. So key skills to think about are recognizing the numbers from 1 to 10, counting to 10 or higher. Sometimes kids get really excited to count as high as they possibly can. My daughter's obsessed with learning about infinity and the idea that numbers go on forever. She always keeps trying to find the biggest number and then is amazed when they never stop. And then there's one-to-one correspondence, which is something that shows up in both reading and in math. And it's the idea that for each number that you count, one object goes with that number. So for example, when you have a whole big group of blocks, the kids often will count them, but while they point to one block, they'll actually say 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2. And they're not really realizing that the numbers go with each individual object. In reading, this shows up when kids point to the words as they read, when they point to one word each time that they read it. Now, a way you can help kids develop one-to-one correspondence is by counting objects in different formations, sometimes in lines, sometimes in groups. Lots of different experiences counting objects and being able to practice one-to-one correspondence as they count. You can see here in this numbers poster off to the side, comes with our math pack, which is part of the Countdown to Kindergarten subscription. And it shows these monsters in different formations. And this idea is that kids eventually will be able to count or be able to recognize numbers without counting. It's a skill called subitizing. So kids can see, if you look at, say, number 7, that it's a group of 4 and 3. So they automatically see that as 7. And this builds strong number sense and helps them for success with addition and subtraction. If your child's ready for it, you can practice basic addition and subtraction with them. With this, it's really important to use what we call manipulatives, some concrete blocks or counters or pennies, something that a child can physically see that addition is putting numbers together or quantities together, and subtraction is taking quantities away. So that really concrete exploration is important for this age. They haven't developed abstract thinking yet, so it's hard to do addition and subtraction in their head without these objects. No matter what you're working on, encourage your child to follow their passions, to wonder and to explore. The best learning happens when kids are having fun. I'll see you tomorrow to talk about social and emotional development.